I think I just unlocked some sort of a God mode with this one. This might be, or probably is, actually, there's no question about it. This is the fastest saw I've ever built, I think. In my opinion, this is the best one right here. And it's a Poulan. You know what I mean? But there you go. That's what this video is all about. Stick around. We're going to see it work. We're going to see it cut. We're going to see it destroy wood at a high rate of speed. All right, so I need to test on 2 saws, but I need a new log. And I'm having trouble here because I want to try to pick something that's going to be kind of close for the races. You know what I mean? Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is my current selection of logs for testing. There's a bigger one over there. So, you know, on different classes, you run different sizes of wood, and we don't know what species they're going to be cutting or none of that stuff. So I think what this guy here is maple. I think this one's maple. Pretty certain those 2 are poplar, and the rest of it I think is oak. So it's kind of a trade-off. You know, what do you pick? Personally, I like maple for testing. It's kind of in the middle. I think it's a good middle ground to test with. But I don't know. Trying to decide here. But in the meantime, I think I'll go ahead with that little piece of oak and, you know, see how she goes. She's pretty straight, and I want to time some of the cuts because I'm going to tweak on some chains, and I want to make sure. Well, that kind of changes my mind too, because I almost need something a little bigger. It's easier to time something bigger than it is something small. So yeah, how about I just go for that one right there? We'll grab that stick. It'll be easier to time, you know? There she is, ready to go. If I was to guess, say 12, it's probably bigger than 12, probably somewhere around 12 to 14 range on this side. We also got this little stumpy. We're going to cut on this one first. That's because the first saw, we're just going to do like a little tuning session with it, just make sure we're good and tuned. And then the second saw, it's the same thing, but I think it might have broke in a considerable amount more at the event. So we might be seeing a new performance level today, and that's what this is all about. Alrighty. All right, so the first saw up here, this is Joey's saw, and I borrowed it to run at Sawfest. It's got a 28-inch bar on it and a brand spanking new C83 chain, fresh off the roll. I picked up a roll of C83, so you know, I figured, I don't know, I have a lot of vintage bars and some bars that have odd driver lengths, and now that I'm able to make chain, I figured, you know, let's just go ahead with a roll, and then, you know, I can kind of set up some of these older bars and stuff, which you're going to see on the next saw. But we're just going to give this saw a quick run, give it a little tuning session, make sure it's good to go. But this is kind of like a prequel video. The real intention here is I plan on doing a raker adjustment to the C83, and I want to see how it changes the performance of the different saws. So we're planning on running brand spanking new C83 at the races, and I want to make a raker adjustment. These chains are known to need a raker adjustment straight out of the box, so we're going to give it a try and see how it does, you know. But we're going to be pretty precise with it. We're not just going to guess. Now, what else? If you've been seeing my developments on chain sharpening and stuff and trying to find a faster chain, I'm just not far enough into that to feel confident that that chain would work on multiple saws, because I want to be able to have a situation to where if something happens, if one saw during the test and tune stages or whatever, like say a saw hits a rock, you know, it gets bumped into the ground and hits a rock or something, I can rip the chain off of another saw, don't even have to think about it, and you know, I'm good to go. So it's more for the versatility right now. I'm just not confident that that chain will work on multiple saws yet. So we just haven't got that far, and maybe by next season we will be. You know, we're going to continue exploring that chain. I think it's pretty quick. So let's get on with the 660, because I think the next saw, you're going to enjoy that one, because I think it hit a new performance level. I forgot how good that saw ran. We're gonna do a raker adjustment. I gotta be careful here, because I'm afraid it's gonna get chattery if I get crazy with it. So it's gonna be a very small raker adjustment. Maybe a swipe or two on the file, that's it. Probably gonna just start with like one swipe on the file. But there you go. Now, I guess on a side note, you're gonna see these two saws back to back on this wood. So I guess in a way you're gonna get to be able to compare the difference on how these two saws perform. And many of you know how big a 660 is. How many cc are they? And the next one coming up is 65. So let's see how the 65 compares, because it is, I'm honest, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably the hottest saw I've ever built. All right, here we go. Started life as a Poulan 445. It's got a different top end on it though, so it's a 65cc version of this. I think it's a 415 cylinder or something like that. But I think this might be the hottest saw I've ever built. You can see here, did a nice big old ruler nose bar. She's a shorter one, she's like 18 inches. But I really like ruler nose bars, and I think I'm gonna slowly work at getting all my race saws set up with roller nose. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. Now if you look close to the muffler, see all that? Fuel, that's unburnt fuel. The reason is because when I put that chain on it, I started it, and this saw went so rich it wasn't even funny. So the last time we ran it was at the event here at my place. Then yesterday when I started it, gee, was stupid pig rich. So either something drastically changed environmentally, or this thing is starting to get that ring good and seated. And I'm hopefully I'm hoping it's the ring. You know, big old Velocity Stack air filter setup. This thing's pretty gnarly. We're gonna run that guy over there, and then we'll come over here and make a cut or two. The bar might be a little short for it, but you'll have an idea of how that saw compares to the 660. Because, you know, when I said it's one of my hottest ones I've ever done, I'm not joking. That thing is rowdy. So here you go. Forgot to mention, this thing starts so easy. So easy. There we go. I am fairly confident we picked up a few RPM. Oh, it feels good. It feels so good. I'm actually afraid to run it a lot. It's like one of those deals. You start it, you run it, you make your 2 or 3 cuts, and then you put her down. It runs that good. I'm afraid to have something happen to it. You know what I mean? It's at that level. I have no idea how many RPM it's pulling. I am fairly certain, I mean, with all the saws that I've ran, that I'm in the 13,000 range somewhere. And it's actually pulling that chain like it's dull. That chain feels kind of dull with that saw. So it's definitely going to need a raker adjustment on this one. Probably, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that develops. But there it is. That is the brand new C82 chain on my roller nose bar. You know, straight off the reel. And I think I'm just going to make a raker adjustment. But that's it. That is going to be my race saw. You know, it's on gas. Nothing special, nothing funky. And she's a wild one, I'll tell you. Now, in case you're wondering why I kind of did this little comparison, I mean, it's the reason's probably not why you're thinking what you're thinking of. So we know how many horsepower that 660's run at. It's had a dyno pull. I just don't remember what the number is off the top of my head. It was like 10 horse, 11 horse, something like that, you know. We don't have a dyno run on this. So doing this comparison here kind of gives us an idea about where it might be performing at. You know what I mean? It is only 65 cc's too. So this saw is, I mean, if you would put this saw in your hands right now, you'd be like, this saw is going to destroy itself. It's, you know what I mean? Nothing about the way this saw runs makes you think it's not going to destroy itself. But it's only meant to race. And over time, I have been learning. So you've seen me, even just in my race builds that I've been building here recently, throughout those saws, I have progressively learned more about different things. And you're seeing a combination of a lot of what I've learned coming together on this saw. You know what I mean? And you're kind of see that stuff. Like the 50, you know, it was cutting great. It freaking had issues. I got it cutting again, but you know, not great. The 385, we're gonna do a video on it coming up soon about its dyno pull. You know, but there's other saws, and I keep learning things throughout the progress. It's like everything I thought I knew 6 months ago that would work and work excellent, I'm telling you right now, I was wrong on some of that stuff, because the stuff that works, it changes so much. Like your opinion changes over time as you start finding out how to get the power, you know what I mean? And then you start changing the way you did things before, and you start realizing that you were wrong on things and you were right on things. And so if you're ever, if any of you get into this stuff and building these saws, just don't get, what would you say? Don't get a thick skull. Keep an open mind, because as things get better, your opinion is going to change. I promise you, as you get better. This one, just in case you're quick, I mean, this is like a 25 or 27,000 squish number, somewhere in there. You know, it's a tighter squish, but it's not down to 20 or real low. You know what I mean? The compression on it is high, but it's not screaming high. It's, there's some folks, so basically what I'm getting at is some folks have things to take things too far. You know, don't take it too far. If you hear something is too much, well, don't think that it's way too much. You know, where is the cutoff point or whatever? Don't over exaggerate things, because it's somewhere in the middle. And the numbers on this were not crazy. I think I remember telling you guys it's sitting at a 98 roof, a 120. It's either a 122 transfer or a 24 transfer. I think it's a 122 transfer height with like an 82 intake. So, I mean, you've seen saws with those numbers run, you know, and that's how this one's performing. And it's because of the techniques that I did in the grinding work and in the machine work and stuff. You know, the same numbers that you might see flop on one thing, they can actually work better once you learn better, get better at your grinding and stuff. Because man, your grinding, your abilities, it's like artwork. The first time you paint a picture, you may not be so good. Do 1,000 of them, and how good are you going to be? It's a lot like that with grinding on a saw. It takes a tremendous amount of practice with the porting to really get them to go. You know what I mean? The issue isn't always your numbers. Sometimes you just need practice. Practice on your grinding and stuff, you know? And as you get better at that and better at figuring out how to get things to flow and all that, you'll see tremendous gains. And I'm starting to see gains now that I never thought I would get to, you know? And I'm getting to them now. So I keep having to remind myself to not get cocky. And that's one of the reasons you never talk about me and my skills or anything like that. Like, the second I think that I'm doing great, I guarantee you there's somebody standing right behind me that's gonna whoop my butt. You know what I mean? There's always somebody better. There's a lot of people better. And like, if we go into Sawfest, I guarantee you, this saw will probably do decent, but will it be first place? You know, I mean, you should see the competition. So we'll have to wait though and see, because You know, all of my builds, we'll have to see how they did at Solfest. And then what the nice thing is that now that I've got them all built, for next season, it's more like tweaks or making changes or throw a new top end and do it a different way, you know, because like I've learned more on this build right here probably than I did on any of my builds, which is probably why it's running like that, you know. But anyway, enough rambling for you. Just a little advice I can say is keep an open mind, you know. Whatever you think works one day, it's probably going to change a couple of months, you know. Just keep an open mind. If you think something works or if you find something that works, great, but don't get stuck on it, because it might send you down the wrong path in order to get to a higher performance level. You know, you might be looking at the wrong thing. So, alrighty, hey, catch you in the next one. Later.